then, when people love that Adidas and Nike are treating this in conjunction, well, I mean, is it the symbolism that's most important? It's not as if Nike stores aren't being looted. You know what I mean? Like, they seem to get the tone right every time. And yet, it almost feels a little bit hollow to me somehow, as if the tone is all that matters.
Yeah, Nike is just consistently being very authentic in their messaging. So it was not a surprise when I saw that video. And even the tone of the video, it's consistent with the way they communicate, not just through messaging, but it's really what their brand represents. I kind of harken back to, earlier in the month of March and April, when the COVID crisis really started to hit. A lot of brands migrated their messaging to be more about America, encouraging people to stay home in Uber's case. And I would like to see brands be a part of this conversation, be a part of advancing the conversation.
I guess one more point on Nike, and then I'll move on. But if they're being so authentic to themselves, like you've said, why weren't their stores spared? Why didn't people say, you know what, not Nike, they're with us?
Well, as you know, Kelly, you've got a couple things going on in the streets across America. You've got a lot of peaceful protesters, and you've got people taking advantage of the situation to do things that, looting stores, et cetera. So I don't think it's related to, confidence consumers would have in Nike or liking or disliking Nike in that regard. I just think you've got people misbehaving.
And I know it's difficult to kind of disentangle everything that's going on, for sure. But you've also given examples of some brands that you think, like you say, Nike is one that it kind of always hits the right message in these kinds of situations. There are a number that you think either are more tone deaf or kind of just shouldn't go there. So I don't, however willing you are to name names, maybe you can give some examples of what not to do.
Well, there are a lot of brands that I think have a responsibility to be part of the conversation. I mean, if you look at the top 5 most valued global brands, you come up with names like Amazon and Apple and Google and Microsoft. I do think that those brands should be more proactive in having messaging that would emanate on broadcast television, on shows like this, but ultimately through all their social channels. So I think it's natural for them. I think they're well positioned. I've heard from some of their CEOs in social media over the weekend, make really heartfelt posts. And I think the employees at those companies are going to demand that the leadership take a stand. I'm sure you're aware there was this virtual walkout going on this morning with Facebook employees not really objecting to the way Mark Zuckerberg's handling the situation with a lot of the comments online by our president. So I do think that, these companies have a responsibility to their employees. They have a responsibility to shareholders. And then they have a responsibility to people that buy their products. So there's some brands that naturally should go there. And there's some brands that, frankly, shouldn't go there. As Pepsi learned a couple years ago, they are not part of the conversation, and they probably should stay on the sidelines. And I think brands like General Motors, I hate to name my old company, but I'll be rather critical of the fact that, when that Flint water crisis was going on, they stood on the sidelines. When the virus was ravaging Detroit, they stood on the sidelines. And so literally for them to come out and make a comment would be not just welcome, but it would probably be inappropriate.